How are we doing? Drew here with Drew T. Jackson, coaching, speaking, and training. And I want to share a story with you this morning, a story of the first time that I went cliff jumping. And so I was about 16 years old, and I went up with some friends to Sequoia National Park, and we went just inside the park, and there was an area there that was known to high schoolers around my area in Visalia, California, as a spot where you could jump off cliffs. Now, this was early summer, and the water that we were jumping into was actually ice melt. So it had been snow the day before, and it had melted off, and now it had come down the mountain. It was rushing down the mountain, and there was a spot where we could jump off a cliff. Now, I hadn't gone here before. This was a silliness. This was ignorance. This was stupidity. This was before everybody had cell phones, and I didn't tell my parents. They just knew I was hanging out with friends that day. And we drove about 2 hours away from home, and we went to this area where there were cliffs. And so I remember going to the cliff for the first time, and kind of have a little picture here. And what we would do is what I don't have drawn here in my pictures, we climb across a rock face, and then you kind of take a little slide down a little short rock face, about 6 feet, and you land on this platform here where you could jump about approximately 50 feet or so into the water. Now, there was another side that was about 70 feet. It was higher, and it was on this other side. I don't know how you get there. I saw other guys do it, but I never did it. And so, anyhow, I remember getting to this point, and I was right there with my friend who had been to this place before, and he jumped off and got in the water and was fine and had a good time. Well, I was up here, and it was kind of starting to feel that fear of heights. You know what I'm saying? Kind of starting to feel that anxiety, that fear of heights. When I'm standing here looking over the edge, and he's down there, he's like, "Come on, Drew, just jump." In the meantime, I see guys jumping off this 70-foot one doing gainers. I mean, they're just jumping off and doing backflips and not caring. I mean, they're in between two sheer rock faces, and they're just going for it. I had watched them. I'd watched these guys. I'd watched my friend jump. I'd watched my friend jump from right where I was standing and jump in and be fine. But your mind begins to play tricks on you. And I was there, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, you're like 2 feet shorter than me, Or you're a water polo player, so you know how to swim better. All these different things in my mind are coming in. I'm thinking, how can I make my way back? But there's really no way to make my way back. I was stuck here, and I found myself right here on the edge, and I'm looking down. I'm looking down at the water, and as I'm looking down, I see a bumblebee. A mean-looking bumblebee, right? And it's starting to swarm around my legs, and it's doing the whole, how they go kind of back and forth really fast, and they're hanging there. They're looking for a spot to land. I know this guy's about to land on my leg, and it's going to be no good. Now, for most people, a bee is an annoyance, right? It's an irritation. For me, it was something more serious, because just 4 years prior to this, I was stung by a bee, and I was a chubby kid, a fat-faced kid, but let me tell you, my face swole up so big I didn't have any wrinkles in my ears. And my breathing began to get shallow and constricted. And so bees were no good for me. And I was in that moment where I could jump off a 50-foot cliff that was very scary, or I could stay where I'm at where there's a bee swarming around. And it wasn't until the consequences of the known, right? The consequences of what I already knew would happen if that bee landed on me, until the consequences of the known became greater than the fear of the unknown, that I went for it. And I'd like to say that I jumped, I did a cannonball, I did a flip, I did something like that, but I couldn't even get my body to physically do that. All I could get my body to do was take a step, and I let gravity do the rest. And we have a saying in a group that I hang out with called the John Maxwell team, and we have a saying that says this. It says, "Jump and build your wings on the way down." Jump and build your wings on the way down. But I want to add an extra little wrinkle to that, because you might find yourself in a situation where that fear of the unknown is so powerful in your life right now. But you know the consequences of the known. You know what will happen if you stay where you're at right now. But that fear of the unknown is still just weighing on you where you're at. And you can't find the strength to jump. If you can't find the strength to jump, I want to encourage you with this. Step and find your courage on the way down. Okay, I want to encourage you today. Wherever you're at, whatever is that next step for you, step and find your courage on the way down. I hope that helps you today. I hope that helps you in your personal growth, in your leadership. Drew T. Jackson, coaching, speaking, and training. Like and subscribe to the channel. I want to get videos to you like this about 3 days of the week, and I'll see you soon.